Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 134 of the Orange Pill Investor. And today I want to pick on index funds. I haven't done that for a while. And passive investing in index funds doesn't work. It never did. And it only seems like it works. I think it was a line from, what was that movie where Morgan Freeman was the president and the whole world was going to end? And the reporter was like, I know you're having an affair or something. Who's Ellie? And he's like, I know it seems like it looks like you have me over a barrel, but it only seems that way. And that's the way that I feel about index fund investing. So you can be a workhorse, you can be a mule, and you can work your 9 to 5. And if you love your 9 to 5, then I'm totally not down on that, but most people don't. My boss resigned, and at her going away, we went around the room, and she wanted everybody to basically say, okay, if you didn't have to do this job, what would you do? Or if money wasn't an object. And not a single person said that their dream job was their actual job that they were doing now. And I don't know if she was just trying to remind everybody, like, hey, just go do what makes you happy instead of killing yourself. Companies basically treat us like batteries. They'll just run you nonstop until your battery's dead. And they give a lot of lip service about, take time and renew yourself and blah, blah, blah. But then when it really comes down to it, they can just replace you. And I've survived another round of layoffs. So, and I see the way that it's going. We're basically training robots and software to replace us. We're focusing on automation and all that good stuff. But if you love your job, that's fine. But make no mistake that if you don't, you are basically working, and then if you're just plowing money into index funds, yes, it will grow, but it's not growing because the index fund is growing more than inflation is growing. At best, it's just an inflation mitigation strategy. So in a perfect world where the Fed was not stealing your money through inflation and quantitative easing, money printing, in that perfect world, your money would not be devalued over time. However, so basically it would be like, okay, if you put money under your mattress and $1 could buy a candy bar, then in 50 years you'd still be able to buy a candy bar with $1. But really, technology is deflationary, so you should be able to buy 10 candy bars for $1 in 50 years, but the actual opposite is true. So it's a hidden tax. It's basically just a Ponzi scheme, and the central bankers are standing as close to the money printer as they can, and they're siphoning off all our wealth. So if you are in index funds, those will basically pace inflation. Like, we don't even need to do all these fancy figuring out of what the CPI is. We know what the inflation rate is. The inflation rate is how much did the SPY go up this year. If it went up 10%, then inflation is 10%. If it went up 20%, you're like, oh my God, I killed inflation this year. No, you didn't, because inflation was 20%. We really don't need to know anything else. So if you think you're beating inflation, you're not. It's maybe, at best, it's just a mitigation hedge. And if you're happy with just working and putting money under your mattress and it being worth the same as you took out, that's great. But you're not gaining anything. So some people think, oh, it's working for me while I sleep and it's growing in value. Yeah, it is, but it's not growing any faster than it's becoming more worthless. So it's basically just break even. You have to invest, you have to basically risk your money going to zero if the stock market crashes in order to just break even. So you're risking everything to break even, which I find a little bit ironic because people criticize me for selling covered calls, and they're like, why would you risk limiting your upside for minimal downside protection? And the answer is for a greater chance of success. Most people suck in the stock market, even doctors, as smart as they are. Most doctors, statistics show, just suck at the stock market. I mean, they don't even do better than a coin flip, which most experts that are getting interviewed on TV and working for all these big firms, they generally don't do better than a coin flip either. So what would it take to give yourself a better chance of success? Well, one way to do that is to reduce your cost basis. If you haven't guessed, I always show MicroStrategy up something. Even if it's like down today, I like to start the video up. So I zoom out to wherever I need to make MicroStrategy up, just to make me feel better. But let's just look at something like Mara. I have no idea which mining stock is the best. There's a lot of competition. So I don't invest in these mining stocks because I believe they're the best investment. The only two assets that I love outside of Bitcoin, and I can't trade Bitcoin in the stock market, are assets that I believe have a monopoly. So that's MicroStrategy. They have a monopoly on Bitcoin development and basically leveraging a speculative attack on currency. They can they can borrow cheap and just leverage up. And then there's Tesla. So Tesla has a monopoly on electric vehicles. They're going to put all the gas car companies out of business. They've got all kinds of AI crap down the pipeline, and they're going to have monopolies and all of that crap as well. So those are the two assets that I love. Mara and Riot and Hut, the three miners that I invest in, I don't have the slightest damn idea which one has the best fundamentals. I don't know which one has the best mining rigs and the best warehouses, and which ones are using renewable energy and are environment friendly and have the best locations and the best contracts with the local governments and all that crap. I don't know and I don't care. I consider them Bitcoin derivatives, so they're just tools in order for me to generate premium. I believe that they will go up as Bitcoin goes up, and I think Bitcoin is going to go up over time, basically forever. So I'm bullish on all of the miners in general, but I don't know. I don't have any affinity for one or the other, and I don't even check their fundamentals. I really just don't care. But let's just say, for instance, you like Mara, and I've got a couple hundred shares of this, and so my average cost is $19.57. But what about when it was down here and it was $14.60? Well, let's check my history. So Robinhood is giving me my official cost average of $19.57, but I sold 22 calls for $50 each. That drops my dollar cost average from $19.57 by almost 50 cents. So what is that? 1907, 1909. I did have to buy to roll, so actually that kind of negates that. But I don't need to go line by line. But I sold for 41. Okay, that lowers my cost basis. I sold for 32, lowered my cost basis. Sold for 44, sold for 53. Every time I do this, I'm lowering my cost basis. So who knows? I could put this all in a spreadsheet or whatever. But if you get your cost basis lower and lower and lower, then it kind of doesn't matter if Marathon dips to 17 if I've lowered my cost basis to 17. And then a couple of months later, my cost basis will be 15, and I won't care if it goes to 15 because I'll still be up. So this is how you can give yourself a greater chance of success. And all of those people, all of these doctors and all of these people who get into the stock market and immediately just buy here and panic sell here and buy here and panic sell here, they all blow up their accounts. I think there's some statistics that say Robinhood traders like blow up their accounts within 60 days or something stupid. That might just be options traders. I don't know. But people come in here and they think this is easy, and it's an emotional roller coaster. It's not easy. So the way that you can make it easier, the way that I make it easier, is I sell covered calls and I sell puts against stuff. I reduce my cost basis down. If I trade this stock long enough, my cost basis will be 0. And then it's impossible to lose money on this trade. So all of these people that are saying, oh, you're giving up maximum upside. Okay, there might be some diamond hand traders that just, they bought here and then they just held and gritted their teeth through this, and then they got to here. But since they have diamond hands, they didn't sell here either for a profit, so they just rode it back down to frickin' 16, and they were down $3 a share again, and then they were up $10 a share again, and then they were down again. Oh no, they'll break even, and then they're up again, and they're down again. So even these unlimited upside frickin' yahoos are not capturing this maximum upside. If they're just saying, I'm going to hold this for 10 years, okay, well then maybe you will catch some amazing, oh God, actually Marathon's down from, when is this? They were 47 back in 2013, really? I didn't know that. So yeah, if you bought here, you're still gutting it out and you're down like 50%. Damn, that's wild. So even these buy and hold advocates are probably not smart enough or skilled enough to time the market, because when it pumped to 31, you probably thought it was going to 60, so you still weren't taking profits here. So if you bought here, you're still barely breaking even. Now, I think you'll be all right in the end, because when Bitcoin pumps to 150 or more next year, it'll drag all these miners with it. But you're just throwing yourself at the mercy of the market. Just buy and hold is just, okay, I'll just dollar cost average in, and then I'll keep dollar cost averaging here, and I'll keep dollar cost averaging here, and eventually maybe I'll make some money. And if you have no desire to learn anything better, then that's absolutely what you should do, and you should probably diversify. You shouldn't just be in 2 assets like I am, Bitcoin and derivatives and Tesla. You shouldn't just put all of your eggs in 2 baskets like I do. But I have conviction in the 2 eggs that I put in my basket, and I'm happy with the risk as well. So I'm fully aware that if you invest in the SPY and the VU and all that crap, you're diversifying, and you have a technically that's kind of what I'm advocating a little bit, because I'm saying increase your chance of success. Well, if you don't have the slightest idea what you're doing, then investing in an index fund is increasing your chance of success, because without it, your chance of success is very poor. But if you have conviction that certain assets will appreciate, then why would you dilute that opinion? Unless your opinion sucks. If you know you suck at trading, then yeah, don't listen to yourself. Just go get into the index fund. But keep in mind that all it's going to do is keep you above water, pacing inflation. So if I buy Mara today for 20.34, I'm selling a call for next week. The 22 strike probably, no, 10%. I'm going to collect $50. And my cost basis won't be 20.34. It'll be 19.80 or something like that. And then next week I'll do it again. It'll be 19.30. And the next week I'll do it again, and it'll be 18.80 again. Basically $1 every 2 weeks. I'm reducing my cost basis by $1 every 2 weeks by selling covered calls. Same thing with selling puts. I can sell a put at the money, get a little greedier with it, and I can knock my cost basis down to $1, which is exactly what I did last week. So I sold 20 puts. I got paid $1. That means I had to put up $2,000 in collateral. I got paid $100, which is like 5% ROI for the week. Putting up $2,000 in collateral and getting paid $100 for the privilege. And if Mara goes under 20 by tomorrow, then I will be assigned 100 shares for every one of these contracts. So 2,000 shares of Mara, which will be fine because my cost basis will be $19. So Mara can actually trade to $19 and I will completely have broken even. And then I can sell covered call for next week anywhere above $19. If the price is 18, I can sell the 20 strike and I'll probably collect 50 cents or whatever. I'm sure these will adjust. Now there's a couple of exceptions to this, and it's funny because I was so happy in my 5K account that I'm trying to pump to 25. It was almost $6,000 earlier this week. And now Bitcoin has retraced, so all of my miners have retraced, and MicroStrategy has retraced. And so, actually, I did crack 6,000 on after hours. That doesn't count. But it's back down to 5,300, and that's fine. Where was I going with this? Shit, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I sold the 22s this week. Yeah, so if I end up with shares, I'll just, it'll be just like my small account. And I'll have, instead of 200 shares of Mara, I'll have 2,000 shares of Mara. And I can just sell anything above my cost basis or above the share price. And that's the edge that I see with this strategy, is just constantly reducing my cost basis. If you do that, yes, you're sacrificing unlimited upside, but would you even know what to do with unlimited upside? Would you have sold, if you bought at 15, would you have sold at 19, or would you have waited for it to go down to 16? Would you have sold at 20, or waited for it to go back down to 17? Selling covered calls and selling puts reduces your cost basis, and it also makes buy low, sell high a mechanical thing. I'm gonna decide today what selling high is. Okay, I want 10% profit, then I sell the 22s. If I bought at 20 and I'm happy selling at 22, then I'll take the 10% profit and I'll get paid an extra 55, so an extra 2.5% on top of getting the price I want. So I went ahead and just did, like, this is basically step one of the wheel. Sell a put. This is about as simple as it gets. And then next week, if the price, excuse me, tomorrow, if the price is under 20, I'll get assigned shares, and then I'll be over here. Instead of selling puts, I'll sell a covered call. $50. It'll probably be down to $45 or something tomorrow, depending on the price. So that's a little primer. Oh, that was what I was going to say. So in this small account, I'm trying to pump this to 25K, but the sad reality is if I had just taken 5K and bought MicroStrategy with it, it could be worth 25K at the end of next year, based on what Bitcoin does and the other things that MicroStrategy has going for it. Like if it gets into the SPY itself. And don't get me wrong, I love that the SPY exists, because as soon as MicroStrategy gets into the SPY, there's going to be all this retirement money pouring into MicroStrategy, and people aren't even going to know they're investing in MicroStrategy. They're just going to be dripping into the S&P 500. But so passive investing works if you're buying Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, probably Tesla. There could be some others. Nvidia's hot right now, but I don't see that they have a monopoly. They have competition, just like all these miners have competition. Maybe Nvidia's the clear winner, so maybe it makes sense. But I don't know enough about it. The channel's called Orange Pill Investor for a reason. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, and that's why my avatar has laser eyes. I think it's basically going up forever, and so that, along with Tesla, are the assets that I feel are disrupting and the clear winners. So I'm going to ride them for the next 2, 5, 10 years and see how that goes. All right. I think I made my point. I could have said all of that with fewer words if I only had more time. So I think I'll leave it there. Be good, Joe.